Coming up on today's Locked On Senators. Should we start calling them the Stockholm Sens? Ottawa comes back from Europe with 2 wins, overtime against Detroit, and a shootout against Minnesota.
And Ian Mendes from The Athletic joins us right after Saturday's win for a boots-on-the-ground report of the entire Sweden trip.
And a hint at some great articles that are coming soon. All that on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Welcome inside episode 920 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. You can follow the show on social media. We're at Sens Central on Twitter, LockedOn.Senators on Instagram. The show is free and available on all podcast platforms, including on YouTube, where a like, comment, and subscription go a long way to helping the show grow. Today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Today is Monday, November 20th, and Pilsy, wow, I can't even imagine what the vibes would be like if the Sens didn't pull out both of those wins.
Ross, luckily, we don't even have to go there because the vibes are high. Coming back from Sweden, the Ottawa Senators now enjoying a 3-game win streak. That feels good to get back to, and they have quite a while until their next game up against the New York Islanders. So let's see how they return from the cursed Sweden trip. Because in Sweden, Ross, now they're at a 5-0-1 record. But it's coming back from Sweden we got to worry about.
And they'll have, like you said, the New York Islanders coming up this Friday. We'll have plenty of time to break down that game, preview it, and we're going to have some special guests on throughout the week. But who better to start it than the really only beat reporter outside of Dean and Gord, who are calling the game, but of course they're kind of Senators employees. Ian Mendes getting to go to Sweden. Yeah, I had to sit down with Daniel Alfredson. We talk about that. We talk about pretty much everything under the Stockholm. Guess we can't say sun, Pilsy, because Ian made it very clear that there's not much of it this time of year there.
Yeah, under the Stockholm Stars, Ross.
Yes, thank you. There you have it. New NHL team alert. Hey, the Stockholm Stars could be something. If,
I don't think Dallas would be down for that, Ross.
Fair enough. There were 2 teams in the CFL named the Rough Riders out of 9.
True, yeah.
No, you do make a very good point. Hey, let's just get to Ian right away. We'll come back at the end and let you know a roster move as the Senators flew back today. They'll have kind of what I would imagine to be a very relaxed skills day tomorrow. Just get the cobwebs out from the cross-continental flight, but they did make some roster moves, so we'll hit on that after over half hour with Ian Mendes. So it's in conversation. Why not just get to it? Here from The Athletic is Ian Mendes. How's the trip been? How are you doing?
Oh my God, guys, I am so jet lagged. I can't tell you. This has been like from a sleep standpoint, it has been really tough. And I'm usually somebody who never has problems sleeping, never really has too much problem with jet lag. I don't know what it is. It gets dark at about 3 o'clock here every day.
Yeah, we heard that.
And I think that's maybe messing with me a little bit, but the sleep has been off, but it's been an amazing trip. The game today, I don't know how you guys felt watching it back on the other side of the world, but it was flat inside the arena. It was flat. It was not a great atmosphere. So that part of it was a little disappointing, but that first game was super fun. At least the ending was anyway.
I don't know, Ian. One of those games, the Detroit games, I thought I was going to have a stress-induced panic attack, and then this one, I thought I was going to need someone to wake me up to tell me this game is still going on. So two very different tales here, and especially, Ian, I don't know about you, but I expected, especially when the Ottawa Senators got 4 power play opportunities up against a team in the Wild that has a 63.7 PK percentage, I thought we'd see a parade of goals on the man advantage.
Yeah, and go back to the Detroit game on Thursday, and just think of the third period. They had and the game was tied at 4, and they had a 5-on-3 power play that got negated pretty quickly. They had a full 2-minute power play. Detroit put the puck over the glass. Then Detroit had too many men on the ice, and they didn't connect. And I think I asked DJ Smith about it after the game, and his answer was, we're too, I think it was the word like passive, like we're not. And I felt it was the same way tonight. Like it wasn't, like I'm almost at the point where I would say, put the, I guess, 10 names in a hat. Obviously, you're going to split up your defense or whatever, but blow this up. Like the last couple of games, I haven't loved it. And tonight they could have used a power play goal that would have made this a far less, adventurous finish for them. And, the margin of error is not 0 for this team, right? Like they have to, you got to win on special teams. And they were lucky they're playing a team that just looked just as tentative or maybe more tentative than they did tonight.
Is it just an eye test thing for me, or do you see some credence to it? They don't seem like they're going to Josh Norris for the one-timer like they have been in years past.
I was just thinking that today because they did try to go to him on one of the power plays. He was set up in that right face-off circle, and he didn't even really get a great shot. I think Gustafsson made the save. He didn't get a great kind of grade A, the chances you expect from Josh Norris. He didn't get it. And I don't know. I don't know if that is that now just that pre-scouting. Every team in the league knows Josh Norris scores from the circle. Probably there's some. Yeah. Except in theory, that should open up the other side of the rink and Tim and Sanderson from the point and whatever Batherson or Kachuk down low. And so it's the worst thing you want is to have a predictable power play. Like it is. It's fine if it's predictable and it's working, but like when Norris, everyone knew. Remember a couple of years ago when he scored the 35 goals. Everybody knew where the puck was going and he could still score. Like that was the cool thing about Norris in 2022. And this year they just haven't been, I guess, maybe seeing that same seam pass to him and, whatnot. But hey, listen, I got to give Norris credit because he scored on Thursday against Detroit. He scores the shootout winner tonight. And at least I think he's showing a little bit of jump to his offensive side of the game.
Ian, how much of a confidence boost do you think this game in particular does for guys like Eric Brandstrom and Anton Forsberg? They get to come over. You wrote about it in your articles. We've been following along with you in The Athletic that Brandy and Forsberg got to be the tour guides. They had a lot of fun with the paddle tournament. Friends and family are here. Those are two guys that I've kind of been touting as unsung heroes, especially Eric Brandstrom. Just how much of a confidence boost do you think that's going to be for those guys to have big performances and ultimately get this team to win today?
Brandon, I think more so Forsberg because if you think about it, go back, and I'm sure you guys talked about this over the last week, like, if Korpisalo had, and they won, but if Korpisalo had pitched a shutout against Detroit and looked really good and was healthy, there was absolutely an argument for running back with him, right? Like there was an argument because these games matter. But I think they made a decision, it sounds like a while back, that this means something to Anton Forsberg. Now, and it's great. It's all great. This isn't a league of like kind of Disney movies. Like this is a league where you got to win. So I think what Zach Burke and DJ Smith did, I think, is they said, okay, we're going to give you your chance. Now take the ball and run with it. Like, and I think that means a lot to him. Like they could have, again, Korpisalo was hurt, so maybe it's all a moot point, but they could have easily said, hey, win and you're in, or we're going with the hot hand. I'm really sorry. It doesn't matter where we're playing, but they didn't. They laid this out. They wanted him to play. They wanted him to have a chance. And you hope he builds on it. Anton Forsberg is one of the most likable guys, one of the most normal goalies too. He's pretty normal guy. I think to get an assist, as Josh Norris told us, a few minutes ago, he's like, "Oh, you got a primary apple. Don't forget about that." And, it's pretty cool. Like,
and it wasn't just an apple, Ian, where it hits his pad and then play progresses. That was a tape to tape 2-line pass.
Yeah, like 100. 20 feet or whatever you want to call it. And, Branson joked with us today after the game and said, oh, it's a set play. We've been working on it, which they haven't. But I'm a big believer sometimes in the hockey gods, because when else would you ever imagine Anton Forsberg sending Eric Brandstrom down the wing with a shot? Like that scenario almost never presents itself, but it did today in Stockholm. And you go back to last night here, and Willie Nylander, at home, puts on a show, gets the tying goal, sets up the winning goal. And, sometimes those things matter, right? And these are the things you're going to remember. I think down the road, like 5 years from now, you're probably not going to remember anything from this wild Senators game other than Forsberg setting up Brandstrom. I think that might be the only thing you remember out of this game.
Yeah, well, I thought you were going to go with the Sweden trip. I'm going to be telling my grandkids about that Tim Stützle baseball back goal.
Yeah,
I'll tell you
100%.
But you know what? It's a goalie-friendly show. We'd never forget that. I just added it, and we had the standouts already. One primary assist added in there for Anton Forsberg. We put a poll up, Ian. I want your call. We always ask who's going to get the fire helmet next. Tim Stützle has it. You have to take that into account. It's down to the two Swedes. Is it the guy who tied the game, or is it Anton Forsberg?
I go Anton Forsberg because he needed to stop a penalty shot. He needed to stop the shootout, right? Like that's pretty significant, in my opinion. So I'm going Forsberg, first Swedish goalie to ever win a game, an NHL regular season game in this country. I'm going Forsberg.
Me too.
I'm going Brandy just because I find, Ian, the fire helmet gets passed not based on performances and who won the game, but who needs a boost and hadn't gotten one in a while. And that's Brandstrom's first goal. Somebody in the chat said first goal since March, first point since April. And that, again, that wasn't a Brandy point where it bounces off someone and in. That's a clean clapper on a breakaway, beating his old teammate and fellow countryman, Philip Gustafsson. So I think it's going to be Brandy.
Yeah, and it is cool, right? He took if I'm not mistaken, right? He took the ceremonial face-off tonight.
Two for two in the face-offs.
Yeah. And and it's neat, right? Like you want to see these guys be able to build on it. And I think, like, look, for the fan base, I don't think you walk away. Like, it's funny. I think if you said on Wednesday, Ottawa's going to come out of this with 4 points, you'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, we're going to be feeling it. I don't think that the fan base is probably feeling that way. I think you're like, okay, we kind of survived it, but we got 4 points. But like, we can't necessarily feel like we've got a ton of confidence right now, but 4 points out of 4 points, I think sometimes we get a little too nitpicky. Let's try and, like, for them, I think they probably need a little bit of a confidence boost. I think for the fan base, everybody's tired of talking about the losing or whatever. And so what was this now? 4 or 5 that they've won, right? With the exception of that Vancouver game, which was back-to-back. So, maybe you can say they're building on something.
Hope you're enjoying our conversation with Ian. We'll get right back to it. But first, a word from our friends at eBay Motors.
Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time. You get your money back. It's easy because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not burning cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Check it out today, guys. eBay Motors.
Today's episode is also brought to you by Shawarma Palace. We love Shawarma Palace. All 7 locations are equally delicious. It's the only place to go in Ottawa for shawarma since 1997. You leave there fuel-filled because the portions are enormous and delicious. I always get the platter. I get the extra garlic sauce. Nothing compares. The moist chicken right off of the rotisserie. It is absolute heaven. Head over Shawarma Palace, Ottawa. They always have great specials. And if you can handle being inundated with the delicious food over and over again, give them a follow on social media as well. You can see where all the locations are, but I always make sure it's my first stop when I head back to Ottawa because it's almost an institution at this point. It's been around for so long, but what I love is the quality just keeps getting better. I didn't even know it was possible. And last time I went, Pillsy, you and I had it together, and that platter was gone in the blink of an eye. It's always at Shawarma Palace, so go eat like a royal. Go eat at Shawarma Palace. Take us into the arena, though, into the Avicii Arena. What was the atmosphere like for both those games?
It was so much better on Thursday night. And I don't know if that was a function of it being an 8 p.m. Start. Today was 5 p.m. And it's, sometimes you can, those late afternoon, early evening games can sometimes, maybe the buzz isn't there, but it was pitch black. Let me make it very clear. It was pitch black outside. So it felt like a night game. But, I think Thursday, based on Ottawa up 4-0, Detroit coming back, tying it at 4, and then that sort of kind of back and forth 3-on-3 to end it with, like, Tim Stützle's goal is going to go down in you're going to see those great debates on podcasts like yours where what's the best regular season and most impressive. Like, that to me is like with the remember Peter Schaefer up and over, was it Marty Turco with Dallas or whoever he put it up and over? Like, oh yeah, I think there's a great debate to be had. Like, what's the better hand-eye coordination, Peter Schaefer or Timmy Stützle? And it's a great debate, but that's what you're going to remember. And it was like I think you left that game emotionally drained because you felt like, oh my God, I've been through the ringer. Right? This game, I think you felt like, did somebody replace my beer with like a NyQuil and a warm milk?
Yeah.
That's how I think a lot of people feel. But at the end of it, you still wake up and they got the 2 points, right? So, yeah, I think, again, right now, it's about getting points and winning games. They got point. They allowed the opponent to get a point. Okay, but they got 4 points out of here.
Yeah, and Ian, we said Minnesota, they can have the point. We don't mind giving Minnesota a point. Doesn't really affect us too much. So that's nice for them going home or up against the Leafs tomorrow. But, Ross, you want to jump in here?
I'm just wondering if it played at all an effect. Obviously, Detroit has such a rich history of Swedish players. Same with Toronto, same with Ottawa. Whereas Minnesota, like, I don't think it's a natural – like a fan base where it's like if you're a natural Swede, if you're from there, you're not going to be attracted, I don't think, that much to the Minnesota Wild. So how much of the people from talking around, I'll ask it this way, what percentage do you think were native Swedes that were just excited and went to the game versus people that traveled to go for the experience?
Ooh, good question. It's funny though. The one thing is, and I think the Ottawa fans, and they'll tell you either if you're in the chat and you're at the game tonight, feel free to weigh in. But there was a lot of Minnesota fans, like a lot of them. And yeah, I think most people would have been surprised. That would be my guess. If you're at the game, you'd be surprised. And I wonder if there's that whole sort of, if you think of the Minnesota, of the state of Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul, it's very much infused with like kind of that Scandinavian culture and feel, right? And so I don't discount that maybe there are some people that, for whatever reason, are Minnesota Wild fans by lineage or whatever. So definitely tons of Detroit fans. I would say of the 4 teams, just visually, I felt like I saw a lot of Red Wings jerseys, but I wasn't in the – I opted not to go to Toronto, Detroit in the building. So I can't sit here and tell you that I saw tons of Leafs jerseys, but even in the streets, it wasn't like – it didn't feel like the Leafs fans were dominating. I would argue more Wild – maybe Wild, Sens, and Leafs are all about the same,
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, that's great for the NHL. Like, I know they were saying on Elliot Friedman's show, they had Luc Robitaille on, and he was saying, look, it's great to go do these global games, but you can't just go and leave and that's it. Like, you're not going to build fans. You're not going to keep fandoms there. You're not going to have the kids that go to those games. Like, you have to keep kind of continuing on that tradition. So I said it to Ross before you came on, Ian. I'm down. Put the Sens down for every Sweden trip moving forward here, because this has been a success for them in Sweden. And Ian, this is where my next question goes. The Sens fans know the Sweden curse isn't about playing hockey in Sweden. They're 5-0-1 in Sweden. That sounds great. It's after. Now they got a lot of days off and they're up against the New York Islanders team after. Like, what do you think are some things that they can do to not let that break and not let the high of coming off Sweden kind of collapse and fall flat when they head back to North America here?
I'll tell you guys, and the jet lag is real. And I'm thinking I didn't even physically exert myself like these players did. And I feel like I've been through a ringer. Yeah. Right? Like, I really do. I see the comments. Ian looks bagged. Yes, I do. I am absolutely tired. And I think what they're going to do is so today's Saturday, right? I'm totally messed up here. Okay. So
all day Saturday.
They're flying home around 10 o'clock on Sunday, 10 a.m. That'll put them back into Ottawa, I think around noon or 1 o'clock. Just with the time.
I don't love that though, Ian. We were saying this team's got to have the green light to go out and party.
My guess would be there's
10 a.m. flight is tough.
My guess would be there's a green light for them to go and enjoy themselves. And when you have 4 points, I think You do that. A lot of them have friends and family over. A lot of them brought their spouses and significant others. And this would be a chance to, you know what, go and do that stuff. So, you know what, go and enjoy yourselves. So they fly back tomorrow. Monday, the way DJ Smith explained it to me after the game was they're going to just do a skills day. And he's not even going to be there. Coaching staff won't be there. It'll be Alfredson, Jesse Winchester, Sean Donovan. It's optional. So the league rules are after you fly back, it has to be a day off and an optional that have to be folded into it. And then Tuesday, DJ said we'll do a full hard practice. Wednesday, complete day off. Thursday, back to it, full hard practice. Friday, game against the Islanders. So I think they brought a sleep expert in. All I'm thinking about is that this sleep expert should have watched the game we just covered. Like that, the sleep expert could use that as yeah, exactly.
That was tough, but at least you get the win, and that's that. Ian, my final question for you, Ian, we really appreciate you taking some time. I know that we got Gab LaFrance in the chat too, saying that he's appreciative. You took a lot of time to hang out with fans over there. Were you at this isn't my final question, but I do want to ask, you were at some meetup Friday night?
I was, and I feel bad. Like I took a bunch of pictures. I didn't take one like myself with my camera, I don't think, which I feel really bad about, but it was amazing. I would say ballpark, if anybody was there, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think about 100 people were there, 100 Sens fans. Like, and the cool thing is the last time I came to Sweden to cover the Senators was 2008 when I was with Sportsnet. And if you go back to 2008, I feel like Facebook was in its infancy, and I was probably texting off of BlackBerry. So to just logistically set up a meetup, I don't think I met any fans in 2008. Maybe the odd one you'd see in the street or whatever. Right. And to do this, I'm going to remember the interactions with this group that came over, probably almost as well as the Tim Stützle goal, because it was really cool. It's a reminder that it's a real privilege to be a media member. It's a real privilege, and it's a even bigger privilege if you get an opportunity to work at an outlet that will allow you to travel for something like this. Like everybody else, let me put it this way: everybody else who came on this trip, they paid with their own hard-earned money. And it's never lost on me, especially because I work behind a paywall. Actually, I'm going to be sending you guys a bill for this later. But I work behind a paywall. And, it really matters to me that I can take some time. It's not ever a bother. Like, I hope that that's how it comes across. It's never a bother. So even when I felt so bad, like when you guys, for whatever reason, I never saw your DM until today. For whatever reason, I was like, whoa, that's a weird one. I got a DM from the boys at Locked On, and I felt so bad because I would have loved to have joined you earlier in the week, but I'm so glad to do this because I know you guys support my work a ton. The least I can do is support work back of other blogs and podcasts, because I was reminded this week, this is a terrific community.
Well, no, you've just reminded me now, because like we have texted before too. I should have just sent you a text. That would have been the easier way to go. We'll get right back to our chat with Ian. First, we got to tell you about our friends at Sleeper.
If you want to take advantage of the star players of the Ottawa Senators like Tim Stützle cashing in with game-winning goals, you can do it on Sleeper, the daily fantasy app of the Locked On Podcast Network, and you can win 100 times your money. All you need to do is get onto the daily fantasy Sleeper app, and you can pick stats like goals, assists, points, plus, minus, and saves. What I love about the Sleeper app is that it has a nice group chat functionality. You can talk smack to your buddies, let them know you're about to have a big week, and entries can be made in under a minute. And it's not just hockey, guys. You can play daily fantasy for NFL, NBA, MLB, college football, and more. So use promo code LOCKEDONNHL, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's term of use for detail. Only available in the U.S. for now.
Today's episode also brought to you by our friends at the Glebe Central Pub. Go visit the Glebe Central Pub in the heart of the Glebe. They are at 779 Bank Street, and make sure you let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. when you head there for tasty food, great drinks, and an awesome atmosphere. I always recommend bringing some friends there when you're looking to have a good time. Grab the darts, go ahead and throw it at the board, or you can sit down, lean back, and enjoy whatever the Glebe Central Pub has going on that night. From the big screen TVs to open mic night to, I mentioned comedy as well, and live music. It's always at the Glebe Central Pub. And make sure you check out the schedule. The Glebe Central Pub website, glebecentralpub.com, shows all the dates that the Sens bus heads to and from the CTC. So head there for the Islanders game this Friday at 7:30. So it leaves at 6:15, always an hour and 15 minutes before the game. So take a look there. Go get your tickets online, glebecentralpub.com, and visit them at 779 Bank Street, right in the heart of the Glebe, and let them know that Locked On Senators sent you. I am going to get to my final question now.
And don't ask me trivia because my brain is fried. and all of my answers are going to be like Chris Campoli.
No, I'm not going that direction, but it's an often used trivia answer.
Okay.
Daniel Alfredson, how much fun did he look like he was having? We read your article. That photo, too, was 10 out of 10. We grabbed it for the after the game, just saying Alfie's 2-0 behind the bench, the main one for the article there. But how much fun did he look like he was having in this weekend?
He had a great time. And I really am appreciative. Like, he gave me a chunk of time on Thursday, and we just sat in the hotel. And, he was nervous. He was excited. And you know what? He loves being around the players. And you could see the admiration that Tim and Brady and the guys have for him. Like, he commands respect. Like, he walks into a room and he just has an aura about him, like that he can command a room. And so, I think for him to come home and think about, like, you're behind a bench in the NHL. And that, by the way, he wanted to make it very clear to me that was all DJ Smith. And he was actually kind of surprised. And DJ asked him well before the Sweden trip, I think we could use you. I think you'll benefit from it. I think it'll be special for you. Let's get you back there. And, I think that's pretty cool. So this is a great opportunity for him. His son lives about 6.5 hours away, which I didn't even realize you get in a car, you can go 6.5 hours north of here. I don't even want to know what time the sun sets there. But he plays in this little town. Hugo, his son, is down here spending the weekend. His wife is here. His dad flew over on the charter. Anyway, been a great 10 out of 10 experience for Alfie. I think for a ton of fans too, they all saw a lot of, I think, I would wager Michael Andlauer took about 50 selfies, 50, if I had to guess, like everywhere. Like how many fans I ran into that said, I ran into Mike Andlauer and he took a picture and he's such a nice guy. And so this was great. Like, this was a great experience, I think, for a lot of the kind of the faces of the franchise, that the Alfies, the Mike Andlauers, and Timmy Stützle coming back, and maybe getting 4 out of 4 points. We can park how it happened. They got 4 out of 4 points, and we'll get back to it on Friday. Get back to our nitpicking on Friday.
Pillsy was pretty upset with you. You didn't ask a German question to Timmy.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's so intimidating. Like, and some of these journalists that are here, and I feel like I took French through grade 12 and into university, and I can understand it quite well, but I'm very shy to try to speak, because it's intimidating, right? Like you get
wow,
wow, see. And so then you see some of these reporters that come over and they're like, they speak like 5 languages, and I feel like so like inferior. And it's pretty cool. Like they do the press conferences here, and like today in the morning they did Jake Sanderson and Tim, and they said, okay, at the end, German questions, and today it was Swedish questions for the two, and it's really cool. Like even Matt Sogard told me, like, for him, I had a great conversation with Matt Sogard the other day, and for him to be able to come back,
his brother was at the game. His brother was just texting me. He says he's 4-0 live.
Get this guy season tickets.
Honestly.
We're 12-0-1 when Pillsy and I go together, by the way. So we
12-0. What's the overtime loss?
The Chicago Chris Neal jersey retirement. They were up in the third period. I know.
3-1 they were up.
They were up 3-1, and Brady did the Chris Neal after.
Yeah.
And then had a huge hit.
It was perfect.
He was playing like Chris Neal, and then Patty Kane ties it. Patty Kane wins it, and it's like his last game in Chicago. You couldn't have traded him 1 week earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I want to let you go. I really do, but I have to.
Wait, I got a final question too, Ross. This is how we do it. We got final questions each, but you go ahead.
Yeah.
Mine's a follow-up. It's the same thing. Creatures of habit, hockey players. Alfredsson's 2-0. Like, he has to be on the bench against the Islanders, right?
Who, boy, you know what? I think it's a great question, right? Like I don't like at this juncture, I don't think he was interested in a role that was so kind of taxing that it would be like a de facto assistant coach. Like, I don't think so. Now, things can change. Yeah, exactly. It's whatever he wants. And honestly, maybe I didn't talk to him tonight after the game. Maybe what if these 2 games behind the bench have given him like a taste and he's like, I love it. Like, I don't know. So I'd be hesitant, but all I can go is off my last conversation with him, which was pretty extensive on Thursday, in which he was like, I'm not planning to do all the road games. I want to just kind of put my, dip my foot in the water, see what works. He still hasn't ruled out involvement in hockey ops in some capacity, but I don't think he's looking at the general manager thing, to be honest with you. I don't get that vibe from him. I don't. Like, I get more of a, hey, can we make a hybrid player development? You're sometimes on the ice and sometimes you're in the boardroom and so whatever. Like, they'll carve something out for him. But I don't know. Like, if you put him on the bench for the game against the Islanders, now you're basically saying, I think he should be on the bench every night, right?
Until they lose, at least.
Yeah. But he should.
Imagine that. You tell him that. Yeah.
He should be on the bench every night. He is the Daniel Alfredsson of the Ottawa Senators, though. That's his title. Yeah.
There you go. It's an astute observation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're a superstitious bunch, Ian. I said I had never worn this reverse retro jersey ever. It's been in my closet. I was like, you know what? For some reason, it feels right to wear it in Sweden. They get the first win. So I said, I'm wearing it again. They get the second win. So I need Alfie on the bench, and I will be a part of the reason this team wins. I will sacrifice, and I will continue to wear my reverse retro jersey when I watch the games. Now, Ian, final question for me. And you mentioned you want to touch up on some other languages, particularly German. I know I said I want this team going to Sweden every time, so maybe we can do a hybrid here, but I want to get your opinion on this. Next global series, throw in a Stockholm game just so the Sens can get an automatic 2 points. That's what they do. And then Detroit versus Ottawa in Mannheim in Germany. We got to have that happen, right? Tim Stützle up against Moritz Seider. The people of Germany would go nuts.
The only thing I'm going to say 2 things to that. One is don't discount the Leon Draisaitl factor in Germany.
Yeah, and bring him along too. He can come along too.
He's going to be with Ottawa by then?
Probably.
Yeah, exactly. His contract's up in 2025. And now this is time for a shameless tease. Ooh. Shameless article tease time. Coming Monday, there might be a quote from a certain owner of the Ottawa Senators about future Europe plans.
Here we go. Okay. I like it.
So that's the tease. That's the tease. You know, can't give you everything, but, you know. So let's just say the question that you asked to me, I asked to Mike Andlauer tonight.
Great minds think alike. Man, that's incredible.
Look, and I got 2 great questions from the legendary Ian Mendes. This guy teaches journalism, and I'm being told great question here, sitting in a dark after a 10 a.m. Central Time start after I worked the 4 a.m. shift this morning. So I'm off of this. We're having a great time here following all your work, as we always do with The Athletic. And since I'm letting you off the trivia hook this time,
yes, please do.
In the next 2 weeks. So you're coming back on Locked On Senators. We're doing full trivia. Sometime
you know what? After I've gotten back onto a normal sleep cycle, count me in. But one thing I do want to say to you guys, and this isn't me making it up. Your names came up multiple times in my conversations with people over here, like in a good way. Like all the fans over there that are Locked On citizens, and I'm telling you, you guys, you have done a terrific job in, like, it's all about connectivity with your fan base. That's it. That's all it is. It's be authentic, be genuine, and you guys have done it. And I'm telling you, from talking to the people over here, at least a half dozen times your podcast came up, and you should be proud of building something up from nothing, 3 years ago, and through that whole pandemic or whatever, to what you've done now. So anyway, I wanted to say that. I should probably say this stuff to you in private, but sometimes I think you deserve the kudos in public. So I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate you guys. If you want to keep going, feel free.
No, at the end.
Thanks, Ian. That means a lot coming from you. That means a lot coming from you.
because Kevin just joined. That's why I'm leaving.
Kevin. Oh, man.
I'm out, Kevin.
Do you get to see Kevin at the games? He's running
the
elevator.
Sometimes I take his elevator.
There you go.
And so the odd time I will, the odd time, but not all the time. But yeah, I do see him, every now and then.
That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you next time. Really do appreciate the kind words, Ian. You really don't have to say that, but it is kind of great to have your view from Sweden. Like you said, really seems like a lot of outlets are pulling away from allowing their reporters to go and cover it. So you are really kind of opening the door to us fans being able to see this. And
it's such a shame. Honestly, it is. Like my dream scenario would have been, all the major media outlets are here. And it's a bad state of affairs, right? Like it's not fun. It's not great. I'm always a believer. I think more voices in the media, more outlets, that's the way to go. You don't want just me being your guy. Now for a week, sure, maybe that's a good thing, but that shouldn't be a thing full time. So it was an absolute privilege to kind of try and do some reporting and ask some questions here for everybody.
And since you've been asking all the questions, now you're just taking a barrage of final questions, but you teased one story. Give me the number. You don't have to tease any others. We're not holding you to it, but how many stories do you think we're going to get out of your time over in Sweden?
No, you know what? I've already kind of pumped a lot. Like the Alfie one was the big one. I wanted some time with him. Yeah. I have a really fun story coming at some point next week that I spoke to a whole bunch of European fans, and I wanted to know, how challenging is it for you to follow the NHL when the games start at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m? And it was a great window into it for me. And I actually talked to Eric Brandstrom's dad too for it. Like, how do you watch your son? I talked to a play-by-play guy over here who does games off a monitor at 2 a.m. in Hamburg, Germany. Like, what's that like? So that's the one I'm actually really excited to do. And I spoke to a couple of really cool Sens fans. One from Norway named Ruben, who was like just awesome to deal with. And then some other fans. Anyway, so that's the one I'm really excited to put together. But I told my editor, I'm like, I just at some point need to sleep. Like at some point, fair. Need to sleep. Like, oh man.
Well, I see that behind you calling your name, Ian. So we'll let you get into it. Really appreciate your time, man. You didn't have to do this. You've had such a busy couple days. We appreciate you more than you'll ever know. We'll see you, and first round's on us when we get to Ottawa, man. You deserve it, and we really do appreciate all the great work you put in for us Sens fans.
See, Gabe just reminded me of Stefan from Sweden. How can I forget Stefan from Stockholm it's because I have my brain isn't firing. I couldn't. I was like, I remember Ruben from Oslo, and I can't. And by the way, when you say first round is on you, that sounds like a playoff prediction. This team's going to the playoff. That's what you said. First round on you.
The entire first round will pay for your drinks, honestly, Ian. Let's go.
Yeah, there we go.
Gonna have to write up a Sens-ternity leave for the office. It's either gonna be 2 weeks or 2 months or somewhere in between. But I gotta go.
Okay. Hey, honestly, thanks for having me. I apologize I didn't see your note earlier in the week, but I'm glad we made this happen.
All good.
Say safe travels. Get home to Ottawa safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good one, everyone.
Stick taps to Ian for joining us. Really fun conversation and being able to connect with the boots on the ground like we've been doing with all the citizens who were there. It's just a great wrap to an awesome week. I mean, for us, we're getting a little, annoyed that it's not all Sens all the time, but I think remind me of this. Set a reminder, please, citizens out there. And when I'm like talking about how they're playing 3 and 4 over and over again in December and March, remind me about these weeks with limited games. It's almost like a soccer team schedule right now.
Oh yeah, Ross, we're going to have more Sens hockey games and we're going to know what to do with in the upcoming months here. So this little lull, this little break in November, hey, they've got more wins than losses now in November, right? Or is it an even month?
4 and 3.
There we go. November, not so bad so far, but it's that pesky return that we're worried about. But yes, anytime Ian Mendes can join us, it's an absolute delight, especially when we get boots on the ground from another continent and get to hear all about all the different articles, interviews, and citizens that he got to kind of connect with on that trip.
Yeah, and what we'll do too is have him back on for proper trivia, because that was strange leaving him off without having to do trivia. But we do have some news of the day. Matthew Highmore is being sent back to the AHL. He was a healthy scratch in the last game in Sweden. Zach McEwen back in the lineup. So Hopefully that means Ridley Gregg and or Mark Kastelik are back. Otherwise, they do still have 12 forwards up, but Zach McEwen hasn't really done a whole lot for me to stay in this lineup. I know that the Islanders always have that gritty fourth line with Matt Martin and Cal Clutterbuck, so maybe he makes it through that game, but I'm curious to see if there's a call-up or if one of the injured guys are going to be back.
I mean, hopefully we get an injured player back, Ross, and also along with Matthew Highmore, Tyler Clevin, Jacob Larson, and Matt Sogard were also recalled to Belleville. So the kind of extras that had tagged along to Sweden are now going back to their home in Belleville.
Well, I think it's for the best for the Belleville Senators because they got waxed last night. The final score was Belleville 1, Lehigh Valley 8. So tough. We'll be following them. I need to see more from Belleville because that's back-to-back games where they let it slip away because we don't really have to get into it. Obviously, the Senators take precedent in Ottawa, but they lost to Manitoba by a goal and, of course, blew a 4-0 lead, but weren't able to get it back like the Senators were. So we'll be keeping our eye on them down in Belleville. But Ottawa, at least the vibes are a little bit higher. They're above 500, 8-7 on the season. We'll have plenty of time to break this down throughout the week. So make sure you like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.